Hi, Lou here, and I'm going to tell you about one of the games I've been working on lately, and the topic, which is the Bronze Age collapse. Now, when you say that, most people don't have a clue what you're talking about. This is something that happened around 1200 BCE in the Near East or Middle East, depending on how you like to say it, and also in Greece. And we don't know quite what happened, but we know that civilization was greatly diminished for a very long time, for hundreds of years. In some cases, as in Greece, it was more or less destroyed. Greece lost literacy for some 400 years. And because civilization was driven back so far, we don't have many records of what happened, and that's why we are quite uncertain about what happened. It seems to be a combination of somebody called the Sea Peoples, and we're not sure where they came from, of volcanoes, of climate change, which resulted in drought and famine, of invasions of barbarians, which of course are an ever-present problem in ancient times. In this case, Phrygians from Europe, and Kaskins who were native to Anatolia, and Zagros mountain tribes from Persia, and the Elamites from Persia, and a big mess. And there were also a lot of people who, coming out on the short end economically, apparently turned to banditry, as often has happened in Chinese history. And they too caused some of the fallback of civilization. So by the time this period was done, the Hittite Empire was gone. The Egyptians had been forced back, the Assyrians had been forced back, the Babylonians had been forced back. It was pretty much a mess. And when we came out of it, we were more or less in the Iron Age rather than in the Bronze Age. Now, my game is a cooperative game where you play those empires that I mentioned, and you fight off these various afflictions. And the question is, how well do you fight them off by the end of the game? I don't include Greece or Crete, partly because it'd be really, really unfortunate to play those because they were completely wiped out in practice. And who wants to play something where you don't have a prayer? Even the Hittite Empire is pretty rough, but it's a game for 1 to 4 people, and the only time that somebody has just the Hittite Empire would be when there were 4 players. So I've left Greece and Crete out, and it makes the board smaller, it makes it simpler, and it makes it not quite so hopeless. Now, one of the interesting things about this game is what to title the game. Bronze Age Collapse is the obvious one. Another is Collapse, and then a colon, and then some sort of subtitle that describes what it's about, like the failure of civilization at the end of the Bronze Age, something like that. But there are lots of different possibilities aside from the obvious one, because the obvious one would be like the titles of a lot of Euro-style games where it doesn't tell you anything because people don't know what the Bronze Age collapse was. But the key is that it's a cooperative game, and I do not see a way to make it a competitive game as well. Some cooperative games you can turn into competitive games, like my game about the death ships. But this one, it doesn't look like it. Thanks for listening.